Hey, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Happy NCBD. So, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. We are currently running the Elvira Tarot card crowdfunder on Kickstarter. I believe it is pinned at the top of the chat if you're interested, but very special, very excited tonight. We have a special guest, Miss Renée Watt, who was the person who wrote the guidebook to the tarot card game or the tarot card set. She is with us here tonight, and she kindly took time out of her day to join us. And we are going to do a tarot card reading. I'm not gonna lie, it is my first. Although my daughter is into tarot cards and has been to readings or supposedly has tried to do a reading, I never have. So she was giving me a quick rundown of what to do, and I got confused. But again, it is a wonderful set. We've been working with Elvira. Anyone that's familiar with Dynamite Entertainment knows that we've been working with Elvira for the longest time. Cassandra has been doing this for, I think, 4 decades. She has redefined so many things, but probably one of the biggest things about Cassandra and her Elvira character, alter ego, is she's probably one of the nicest people, and not only appreciates fan support, goes out of her way when she shows up at cons and things like that to stay there and sign every autograph, talk to every person. And really, so you find so few celebrities in today's world that will take the time out to really appreciate their fans. So we were able to do this. And Renee, who has worked with Elvira and her team, is also the person who wrote the Elvira Tarot guidebook that comes with this tarot card set, and is with us here tonight, and who has been practicing the mystic arts for quite some time, since you were a child, I believe. And here she is, Renée Watt. Thank you, Renee, for joining us tonight.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you've been doing this since you were 10. I read a little bit on your bio.
Yeah.
And that's a long time.
Yeah.
What got you into it?
Well, I'm the youngest of 4, so I was always just trying to be involved with whatever my older siblings were up to. And I have my eldest brother is 10 years older than me, and he was dating a girl or a woman who was very witchy and into tarot. And she brought her deck over one day and showed my sister and I was just like so intrigued and so captivated by just like the idea that it might be that tarot cards were real. Like my only exposure to anything that had to do with witchcraft or fortune telling was things that Miss Cleo, like I would stay up at night and watch the Miss Cleo like infomercials. So to realize I had access to tarot cards and I could develop a skill set was just like mind blowing. And so I saved my allowance, and she took my sister and I to a new age store a couple weeks later, and I got my first deck. And my sister and I started, exchanging readings with each other, but I got way more into it. And I was taking my tarot deck to the playground in 4th grade, 5th grade, doing tarot readings at recess and having seances at my friends' sleepovers. As soon as the craft came out, I wanted to be, doing witchcraft, and I didn't think that was real. And then I found a book about witchcraft at a used bookstore that I was wandering around in when I was 12, and I was like, holy crap, this is real too. And then I formed a coven on my 13th birthday party, and it's just, there's so much to explore when it comes to the occult that to this day I am researching things that I have no clue what they are. And there's just such a vast wealth of topics that you can pull from. But tarot is my first introduction into the occult.
Okay, so for someone who is totally uneducated, and I imagine, so we have a motley crew of people that join me every week, and this is something a little bit different. I think that we've got some friends here who maybe do not join the show every week. That's because of the tarot card reading you're going to do tonight. Probably jumped on. So They may know, but for someone who knows nothing, me, can you explain the tarot card concept? You see them in movies and things like that, but never in the movies, you never get an explanation as to what they are in the history of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, historically, tarot cards, they were sort of like this nebulous concept that started out with like playing cards and dominoes. And, you know, in ancient Egypt, they were using sort of like a numerical system, which is where we get the minor arcana from. If you look at a normal deck of playing cards and you look at the different sort of like hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds, well, those also affiliate with swords, wands, cups, and pentacles in the tarot. And so eventually all of these sort of divination techniques came together to form the tarot deck. And this has been around for centuries, and there is no widely accepted explanation or sort of like source that says like this is the exact moment the tarot was birthed, because it is a collection of so many different cultures and practices.
Got you. All right. So how do you want to do this tonight? To do a reading, what do you need?
I mean, I need a volunteer, and I'm happy to, you know, answer questions from you, or if anyone who's watching live wants to sort of like chime in. Or I can also do a collective reading. I'm sort of, you know, open to, I showed it with my tarot deck, and I'm open to roll with whatever you want. So if you want to get the ball rolling, if you have a question, or if you want just a little general reading, we can start there. It's up to you.
Let's do the collective, because I'm a coward now. I don't really want to know my future. As I get older, I realize that that's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. So, yeah, thank you, Marcus, for volunteering me. Okay. So, yeah, these guys, they every week, faithfully, they come on the air to bust on me. So they're at it already. Marcus Y is probably one of the biggest transgressors out there, but he's faithful, if nothing else. Triple B. All right, Triple B, who is a huge horror fan. So he may actually know more about this topic than I do. So Triple B, Haunted Comics, would like a reading. Can you do it without seeing him or talking to him?
Yeah, I can totally
communicate through the chat.
In the comments, or okay.
Yeah, you should be able to see it on the right-hand side under comments.
Okay, I see that now. Okay, so I think that if I'm trying to watch the comments, that's gonna get really distracting for me. But if
I'll read them out to you.
Yeah, if you want to throw me a question, then you can relay it and just let me know like who, you know, the name of the person who's asking it. I think that's the best way.
All right.
But I will say that, you know, at first we said, oh, I'm going to do one for the collective, and I just drew a tarot card really quick. And so I pulled the High Priestess, which is basically the card of psychic ability and tarot readings and intuition. So I hope we're going to get some really good readings tonight, because the High Priestess was our first card of the night, and that's a really good sign for, you know, getting some psychic insights.
All right. So Triple B says pick me. So Triple B, we need a question of some sort to present to Renee,
or
so she can do your reading.
Yeah, or if there's a specific question, or if there's an area of your life that you want looking at, that is best.
All right, so Triple B.
Past, present, and future is also a possibility. So I'll narrow it down to those three and let whoever I'm reading for choose. All
right, sounds good. Triple B, Marvel fan, you missed the intro, bud. We're doing something a little bit different tonight. We have a special guest, Renée Watt, who wrote the guidebook for the Elvira Tarot set, which we have ongoing right now. There are only 12 days left in the crowdfunder. So if you are an Elvira fan, if you are a tarot fan, or you're both, that crowdfunder is still running for the next 12 days. So yeah, we're contacting the spirits. Good one, Unknown. Exactly right. So Triple B, I need a question, my friend, or I have to volunteer myself. and I'm afraid to. Jay, do you have a question? Jay?
I'm just going to sit back and watch, boss.
No question. So you are all sacrificing me out there. Okay.
Well, where did Triple B
nothing.
go? I thought Triple B wanted to.
I have no idea. Oh, here you go.
Okay.
All right. So Triple B is asking, I'm going to have to move in the future, but don't know when. Can you help me with maybe I'm going to have to move?
Okay.
Triple B, that is one of your most unclear statements I've ever seen. You're going to have to move in the future, but you don't know when. Okay, so you want to know when you might be moving is what I'm gathering.
Okay. I'm like so curious if you're going to be moving in with like a partner, because I'm seeing this sort of like feminine presence. But this is like, you know, these are actually also traditionally male cards. We just made them female for Elvira. But basically what the overall message that's coming through with this sort of like moving is it's not like, it's like you're in a little bit of a holding pattern where you know that it's time to move, but it's also sort of like, I could financially do it, but it wouldn't necessarily be the best financial move right now. It's sort of like, yeah, I could move, but then I'm wiped out, and that doesn't give me like the sense of security that I would necessarily be wanting from a move. And then there's also this sort of indication from the cards that like you're not totally in love with like where you're going to be moving to either, if it was something that you were going to be rushing right now. And it's almost going to be a situation where you have to wait it out, and then it's like everything's going to collapse onto you, and then you're going to have to move, and it's not going to feel like you have a lot of control over it at all. There may even be a period where you are staying with family for a little while to figure out what your options are. So I think the best thing that you can do right now in preparation for this is to just get a little bit of a better handle on like what exactly is driving this move that comes from within, and not necessarily like external factors that are pushing you toward it, and what's going to make you happy. Because I don't necessarily think you are moving, like I don't think you have this dream in your head that's like, oh, this is going to be the thing that makes my life great. It's just sort of like, this is a thing that's going to happen. And I feel like to make this successful for you and for your happiness, you have to sort of like sit with it in a way that's just a little bit more thoughtful and a little less logistical, and sort of more based in what am I going to get out of this? Like, what do I even want in a space? Do I even want to be in the same environment that I'm in right now? If I go somewhere that's more affordable, am I really going to be missing some of the amenities that are around me right now? And so I think that for you, it's really more about slowing down and figuring out what exactly you want before forcing anything. There may be a situation where, yes, you are forced to, you have to leave, you can't stay where you are anymore, and you might land with family. At that point, you will have options open up to you. So I think that it takes a little bit more thought on your end to make this a situation that is actually going to benefit you on an emotional and a mental capacity. And I'm happy for feedback and comments. If you have like a follow-up question, let me know if this is making sense, if this is landing for you. I welcome feedback.
All right, Triple B, you still there, bud? All right. So Stephanie Pittman has a question. Will my husband find the financial success he's been working towards next year? He was successful this year, but he's talking really, really successful. Renee, you're dead on his situation. You nailed it. That helps so much. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
All right. So Stephanie Pittman is asking about her husband's potential success this coming year. And if it's going to be the big one, I guess, is the best way to read that.
Can Stephanie, can you give me your husband's first name? That's really helpful for looking into other people's energy.
All right. So if the viewers don't have any more questions after they run through, I thought of a question you can answer for me, but I'm going to save it until the end because they come first.
Okay,
so
if Stephanie hasn't given her husband's name, that's fine, because I'm getting enough energy through
his first name is Kyle.
Kyle, okay. So I will say, Kyle, that your guys' relationship does feel really, really solid. It feels really like it's always been very sweet. Like there hasn't, like every couple sort of like has their like ups and downs and like their moments that are like passionate and less passionate. But like I feel like no matter how much that has fluctuated between you two, like it's always been super, super just like sweet. Like very, very pure love. So congratulations on that. I don't always see that when I'm looking at people's relationships. But when we're looking at your husband, I do think that yes, he's going to level up with his success, but he's not going to ever he's never going to be satisfied, because he's always going to want to push himself. He's always going to want to challenge himself. So if next year is his oh my God, I'm making it so big, he's going to be like, all right, now how do I make it bigger? So I think that he is a person who is sort of constantly competing with himself, which is going to be the thing that sort of does propel his success. And so I think that, the success that he's had this year is going to propel him forward next year, especially in a way of just having a little bit more respect, a little bit more authority in his field, and just sort of more clout. He responds really, really well to encouragement. So you being his sort of his ally, his cheerleader, that is really, really important for him. And whether or not he shows that to you, he definitely does sort of get a lot of his momentum from that encouragement. And he wants to be proud of himself, but he wants you to be proud of him. There's going to be a situation with his career next year where it could look like something really, really big and awesome is going to happen. But he might need to sort of revise the plan that he's working on right now. I'm seeing that he's got a good idea for what that trajectory looks like, but he needs to go in and refine it. And he needs to sort of kind of study up a little bit on aspects of it that he's not fully versed on, or that he's new to. I do think that asking for support from the universe, asking for lucky breaks, tapping into his intuition, or even helping him do that, tapping into your intuition around this situation, and as his partner and his advisor, sort of telling him what you think about the situation, and sort of, if he's not a person who's going to woo-woo connect with the universe, as his partner, you can do that for him and give him the feedback that you receive. I have the Magician. So this is something where the universe will help with this. Sometimes I see cards that say the universe wants you to work for this. That's not the case. You have to work for it. He has to work for it, of course, but it's not work alone. There's going to be a lot of luck. He just has to do a little bit of revising. Then I'm getting sort of cards to suggest that either he's going to have an investor, or an investment that he makes is going to really kick things up a notch. And if you do have follow-up questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. All
right. So the questions are starting to flow in. Let's see. So hold on. So Stephanie, let us know if you have a follow-up question. Go ahead and post it in the chat. And then we have, let's see here. These guys are killing me. Okay, so someone else, Spooky Sammy, welcome. I've got fibromyalgia. I can't even pronounce that.
Yeah, fibromyalgia. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm currently bedbound. Will my health significantly improve in the future?
Okay. Well, what's interesting is like as this question was coming through, and I sort of shuffle as questions come through, so the right cards come out. The strength card flew out, and so like yeah, this is for sure going to be a challenge for you. It's not game over. It's not game over. You are going to bounce back, but we also have the 10 of swords, and this is like, hey, like you got knocked down, and like that sucks physically, mentally, emotionally. And there's like, it's hard because the process that you're going to have to go through to sort of like recover and adjust and reclaim your body in this new reality is going to be like, it's going to be a fight. I have the 8 of Wands, and this is sort of like you're going to reach a point where the things that you're doing that might not feel are helping to the extent that you want them to help are going to start building into progress. And so it is a very frustrating standstill. I also have the Hanged Man. Like, you're going through it. And it's like, you know, I want to be able to pull cards for you that are like, yeah, like, you know, you're fixed in a week. And it's not like, it's not the case. But I do think you're totally going to have these breakthrough moments. And once you start having the first sort of like breakthrough in feeling better, you're going to be like, no one's going to be able to stop you. Nothing's going to be able to stop you. So it's really important that you take the time that you need to rest, take the time that you need to feel bummed out. Like, if you need to have a defeatist attitude for, you know, a couple of days or a week or however long, like, let yourself have that. You know, there's like, I'm not going to like spew toxic positivity at you. Like, this sucks. It's okay to be disappointed, but you're going to gain your strength back. You're going to gain your motivation back. You're going to see improvements, and you're going to be making like really, really significant life changes that are going to kind of make you fall back in love with yourself in a way that you're not expecting. The sort of like crowning card that I have for you is the Queen of Cups. And this card is very much like your heart is super, super full. The sense of gratitude is real. It's there. The love that you have for yourself is, and just sort of like what you're able to move past, what you're able to overcome, it's going to actually, in a weird way, improve the relationship that you have with yourself. I do, again, have the Magician as part of this spread. And so it is important that you don't abandon your spirituality throughout this process. If you do have any sort of belief system, no matter, you know, if it's something that you were raised with or if it's something that you're interested in now, pull a little bit more of that in. And in the time that you are bedridden and in the time that you are, you know, not able to, you know, you're not as mobile as you want to be, use that time, you know, when you're not totally depleted mentally, to just sort of like pursue interests. And you're going to bit by bit make your way to a place that is so much better than where you're at now. And you're going to look back on this moment and it's going to be like, this was my moment where I realized how strong I was. that is what taught me how resilient I am. And I do have this feeling that you may end up helping other people who are dealing with a similar issue, and you're going to actually end up wanting to give back, and you're going to find a whole new community because of that, and you're going to be somewhat of a leader in that community. So don't give up on yourself. For sure, be bummed out when you know it's time for, like, you know, I'm going to be upset and I'm going to live in this for a little bit. Take it. Like, you know, be upset. Go for it. That's important too. But then you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to remember your fire, and you're going to fight for yourself. And I think it's going to work. And I think that, you know, exploring your options for healing is going to be important too. And I would say a holistic approach as well. So any lifestyle changes that are prescribed to you, go for them. And if you have any follow-up, please, you know, throw them in.
Yes, Spooky Sammy, if you have follow-up questions, let us know. All right, let's see. One guy is asking if he's going to win an item in an auction he's bidding on, but I don't know if you can answer that type of question. Is that the type of question you can answer, or no?
I mean, I mean, I can pull on it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so
here's the thing. Like, yeah, I think if you really want to win it, you can win it. Like, yeah, the cards are there. I think you're competing against 2 other people. I think there's 3 people who want this auction item. It's just a matter of, like, is it worth the resources, you know? But otherwise, yeah, I think you'll get it.
All right. So there you go, my friend. Let's see. All right. So Eric Larner, welcome, buddy. You had a question. The best thing to do is we have a submission form, which you should still be able to find in the description. And you want to know, but maybe Renee can answer it. Let's see. I do not have a question for the reading, but he has. Could you post that back up, Jay? I lost it in the. Okay, you do. All right. Several tower decks, card layouts. The deck creator came up with. Does the book for this deck have any special layouts?
Yeah, it does. It does. So I have 3 different layouts in the deck. You know, you'll probably be used to the past, present, and future. That is classic standard. I didn't put the Celtic cross in here. One thing that I put in here is what I call a map spread. It's 9 cards. You lay them out, you know, in a row 3 by 3. This is how I do most of my readings. And it's all explained in the book, but it's not so much like chronological order. It's sort of like you lay them all out and you kind of pull out, like, the cards that are calling to you the most, and then looking at the cards that are next to them. And it's almost like if you were going to open, like, you know, if you were going to look at a painting, or if you were going to open, like, a children's storybook, and there's, like, you know, a witch over here, and then there's, like, a frog on a toadstool, and, like, a lightning bolt, you know, how are you going to piece this story together based off of this sort of, like, canvas that you've laid out? And then we have a star spread, and it's sort of like, you know, you would lay it out as you would sort of lay out a pentacle if you were doing witchcraft. And so it will sort of give you a step-by-step guide on manifestation. So that one is a little bit more focused on if you do have a specific goal in mind. If you are trying to manifest something, like, what does that process look like?
All right. So, Eric, hopefully that answers the question. If you have any follow-up questions, put in the chat, please. All right. So one of our regulars, Canadian survivalist, he's at a crossroads. What does the card see?
All right. Okay, so I do like get this sense a little bit that like when your nerves go off, it like manifests in the stomach. Like when I'm tapping into your energy, I feel a little bit of just sort of like a bubbly stomach, butterflies in the stomach, and that it's almost like the thing that stops you from making a decision isn't like, it's almost like the physical discomfort that making a choice and like knowing that like the fallout of your choice is going to be so disruptive to your life, that it's sort of like holding you back. And so I would actually say that when your gut is acting up, when you get the butterflies in the stomach, when you're having like stomach issues and you know that you're sort of just like gnawing at a decision, like that's actually your body's way of being like, hey, like you sitting in this, you not making a decision is not like, it's not helping. And just because you know that things are going to be uncomfortable and disruptive and you don't want the harmony, you know, the balance to get thrown off, doesn't mean that like standing still is going to be any better, because it's not. So it's hard because like I really feel like you're at battle with yourself and possibly with another person. It does feel a little bit more internal, but there might be just like outside opinions that are kind of like planting the seed of doubt. And so I think it's actually a little bit time to stop talking to other people about your decision, and just do it. There's it's going to require, it seems like there's going to require a little bit of money on your end to make these changes happen. But the card that I have for you in the middle, which is sort of like the anchor of this, is the Death card, and it's not scary. This is not a scary card. The Death card is sort of like you're going to leave this old life behind. You're going to leave this situation behind. Like that's happening. So the longer you sit in where you are right now, like the more physically uncomfortable you're going to be, the more your nerves are going to be shot, and the less energy you're going to have to sort of like navigate your way to the other side, to this place that you want to be. And it's like, you know, it's going to be better once you leave the situation that you're in. You're just like a little bit afraid of like the unknown, and there could even be a little bit of a fear of success and a fear of failure as well. Like you can have both of those things, but I do think that you are going to be very successful in what you do next. I have the Chariot as sort of like your follow-up card. So after death, after this big change, comes the Chariot, which is sort of where like you're in control now. Like you have taken the reins, you're driving the car, instead of sort of like, you know, like hanging out in a Waymo, like with self-automatic cars, like you're driving the car. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles as your sort of like crowning card for the spread. When I do a reading, I like to sort of like pull all the details out and see like, what does this all amount to? What is the sort of like cherry on top of this reading? And for you, it's the Ten of Pentacles. And this is like paradise. This card is sort of like, I'm financially comfortable. I feel tapped into my senses. I'm happy in my body. I'm happy in my surroundings. I have loving relationships. I have enough resources to be generous with myself and to be generous with the people around me. But if there's a job, or if there's like a partner that's making you unhappy right now, the crossroads is that you haven't left yet. That's the crossroads. Go through the light, you know, just make it happen. Even if your body is uncomfortable in the process, figure out how to release stress, work with mindfulness practices. One really helpful practice for just sort of like releasing uncomfortable physical responses to emotional situations or intense conversations or life changes is sort of like when you feel your body tensing up, when you feel your stomach sort of like going in knots, take a deep breath. Pay attention to what your feet feel like against the, like with the earth underneath you. Like feel that your feet are connected to the ground. And as you sort of like inhale peace, exhale like the energy down to your feet. Like there's little drains and you're draining a bathtub and you are sort of just like pushing all of the crap that is accumulating because it's kind of a complicated situation to the earth, and let the earth recycle it. And once you are more adept at sort of like monitoring how your body responds to indecision or challenges or change or conflict or breakups or heartache or whatever, once you're better at controlling how your body responds to that, which is through relaxation techniques, which is through mindfulness techniques, which is like through tapping into your senses, finding something that makes you feel centered. Once you've mastered that, it's going to be so much easier in general to feel safe in situations that are uncertain because you have created a system where you can support yourself. So I hope that's helpful. If you have follow-up questions, please send them through.
All right. So, hey, Jay, can we highlight Spooky Sammy's response? Because I think it's important for Renee to see it. So you really helped Spooky Sammy out.
Oh, I'm glad.
So that is really cool. All right. So second question is not a reading question, but Christine asked, please share an example of what is written for a couple of the cards, a major and a minor.
Yeah, I guess I could like just read from the book, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see. I think it would be fun if I pulled a card and then read that one. So, and that was who was that sent that in?
Christine. Christine.
Okay. So we'll just make this a little mini reading for you, and then I'll read what it says in the deck. So this is the Empress card, and this is actually one of my favorite cards. It's my card based off of my birthday, which is like a numerology thing. So it says, if the perfect matriarch existed, she'd appear as the Empress. This archetype is a representation of nurturing, fertility, creation, and all things feminine. Though pregnancy and childbirth is often associated with this card, it can also indicate giving life to creative projects. You're in a place of abundance emotionally and mentally. Be sure to direct your focus toward growing something meaningful. And the reversed meaning, a fierce desire to protect or nature could lead to overbearing behaviors. The Empress reverse could also indicate a mother figure who oversteps their bounds. And then there's advice, and the advice is appreciate your good fortune. Show some extra love to the people you care for. Give fully to the relationships and goals that are most important to you.
All right. So we have a question from one of our regulars, Kenneth Bird. His question is, can you read for me the cards? I'd like to find out what my future will be and correcting anything. All my family members are against me for collecting comic books, other toys, and art. I will say that Kenneth recently found out that he's having some health issues, if you will, pretty serious, if you will. So kind of a general question, just kind of, I think, asking what the future holds for him.
Okay. The thing that like your family doesn't understand about your collection is that like it's not just a collection, it's also sort of like how you immerse yourself in a community. You know, you're here tonight, you're a regular, so I like, you know, I don't need the cards to tell me that you're getting something out of this industry that isn't just, you know, a collection. It's also people and having someone that you can share interests in. And just because like your family can't wrap their head around that, it doesn't, like, you don't need to justify your decisions to them if it's making you happy and it's not hurting anyone. You know, if they're getting on your case about it, it's just sort of like, I would just ask them point blank, like, well, what should I be doing instead? Like, you know, what do you think that I should do that's going to make me happy? If you know better than I do, what's going to make me happy? I wish I had like a way to give like follow-up questions, because I almost feel like they're like wanting you to like sell. Like, I almost wish I could talk to you one-on-one right now, because it almost feels like they're like wanting you to sell things, because you probably do have some items that are valuable. And, you know, at a certain point in time, if you need those resources for something else, then like you should, if you need the resources for something else, and like take heart in the fact that like your community is still going to be there for you. So what I would invest in more is sort of like strengthening the relationships with the people who are, you know, the friends that you've made along this way while exploring this industry. And also like maybe even like figuring out a way to share it. You know, if you have a social media, if you're getting involved with different online groups, if there are things in your local community where you can get together and talk with people. But I think that if they're worried about you spending money, you know, if you're taking care of yourself, it's none of their business. If they're taking care of you, you have to have conversations about like, yeah, like what is your financial contribution? But the most important thing is the relationships that you're making. And if you can find a way to convey that to your family, and if you can sort of like say, like, this is what I'm getting out of it, because they just don't understand. These are the people that I relate to, and just sort of like have it be more about your relationships and the items. I think that that can sort of help level things out a little bit. And if you do have a follow-up, please let me know.
So, Kenneth, if you have a follow-up question, put it in the chat, my friend. So, I forgot at the beginning of the show, tonight we have a giveaway, and it is an item that we did a while back, and so we have a few left in warehouse. It is the Elvira Spectral Switchboard, which is more or less the Elvira version of a Ouija board. So all you have to do is put hashtag EXP Elvira. Sorry, Jay, I should have determined the hashtag before the show, but I didn't. Hashtag EXP Elvira in the chat one time. We will do a drawing towards the end of the show, and whoever's name comes up wins the spectral switchboard. Unknown, your question about the mat, do me a favor, email me, and I can get you the specs on that, my friend. All right? So I don't know them off the top of my head, but I can get it for you. All right? So Christine says the Empress card, I think that's what she said. The Empress card was her birth card as well. So
it's my birth card as well. It's so the way that you
cool.
the way that you can calculate your tarot card is by figuring out your life path number. And the way that you do that is you add sort of like your month, day, and year. So here, why don't, to give an example, why don't you let me know when you were born, your month, day, and year?
Me? Mm-hmm. December 19th.
Oh, that's my fiance's birthday.
Yeah, don't ask me the year, because I'm too embarrassed to tell. Say in front of everyone.
That's fine.
They already make jokes about my age, so the regulars.
That's okay. So we will. Okay, so I'll just sort of like do the condensed version of this. So, what you would do is 12 is a month, so you would add 1 + 2, which equals 3. And then 1 plus 9 equals 10. So that comes out to a 1. And so we'll calculate your number for next year, because every year you get a new number that represents that year. So next year is 2026. 2 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. So now I've got 3 for December, I've got 1 for the 19th, and I've got 10 for 2026. If I put those all together, it is 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Okay, so basically, like, that's how you add everything up to basically, like, you add all the numbers in your birthday month and year, or your birthday month and this upcoming year, down to one number by just adding them into each other. So for next year, your card is the Hierophant, which in the book it says intuition and experience collide when the Hierophant appears, a card that often depicts a pope, priest, or spiritual guide. Though you may have an unconventional outlook, this card asks you to pull from tradition. If you're feeling lost or uncertain, consider reaching out to someone with more experience. The advice is bring more structure into your spirituality, reconnect with core values, and honor your ancestors.
That's interesting. So Marcus, thank you for the happy birthday. And to give you some idea of how much these guys fuss on me, Marcus also made a comment that I was there for both world wars. Okay, so now you have some idea. All right, so if you joined us late, we have a special guest tonight, Renée Watt, who was the author or the writer for the guidebook to the Elvira Tarot card set, which is running right now, 12 days left on it, on Kickstarter. And that link is pinned at the top of the chat. Check it out. All right, so anyone that wants to ask a question, get a reading while Renée is here. Wow, this hour passed fast.
It did. I know. I was just like, hey.
All right, so I don't see any other questions, but you can certainly ask one, but I will ask one now. I thought of one. So give you some history. My daughter played softball in college. I am still involved with it. She's 25 now. Her softball career is over. She's engaged to be married. So I still coach for a period of time with my daughter, and we were very successful. The last couple of years, I've been coaching a 12U team, and we have not been very successful. And I've tried everything. I'm pulling my hair out. So I'm hoping that the spring season, the fall season is over. Things that have not changed that much. I'm hoping they will change come the spring, summer. Can you tell me if things are going to get better, or we're going to continue to suck wind here into the spring and summer?
Well, I'm interested in the fact that, like, you had the Hierophant as your sort of card for next year. So one thing that I would consider, just sort of like knowing that that's some of the energy that you're coming into 2026 with. Do you keep old notebooks with like your plays or anything in it?
I wouldn't say old notebooks, but I keep a lot of mementos. I keep scores. Well, yeah, in a way I do, because there is an app that we use to keep the stats and scores. So I've kept them all the way back to my daughter's playing days. So right. I do keep those, and I do have some video because it has a video option. So I can go back and rewatch the games. So I have gone back and done that. And I do have stats that I can pull up, sortable stats that I can pull up at any time that I choose.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it would be helpful for you to sort of just like go and revisit some of those like higher notes in your coaching career, and just sort of try to like mentally revisit, like, what were you doing? I feel like at some point in time, like, maybe the success, it might have even created, like, in a weird way, a little bit of a boredom, or a little bit of a just sort of like, I know what I'm doing, and so I'm not going to like maybe research the same way that I used to be doing. And so I would say that it might be helpful to sort of go backward and sort of re-examine where you were at, what you were thinking, try to get back into that headspace when like you were having the big wins. Do you have like someone that you're coaching with?
You know what? Now you're scaring me a little bit. All right, because that is scaringly accurate. So what happened was when I got back into coaching, because I stopped when my daughter turned 12 because she wasn't listening to me and was doing more harm than good.
Yeah.
I didn't get back into coaching until she was done and we both coached together.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently she stopped because it is an enormous time consumer.
Yeah.
And she got engaged. So she still gives lessons, but no longer coaches. She comes out from time to time to help me, but
Mm-hmm.
she's not there anymore. So I do have to admit it is less fun without less. I still enjoy it, but not as much as I did,
Mm-hmm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of like a big hole, but you know, what am I going to say to her? She's been doing it since she was 5. So, you know, when she said, "Dad, I'm done," you know, I couldn't fault her for it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty on target. That's kind of scary, actually. They got it that close. So anyone joining us late, we are here with Renée Watt, who was the author and wrote the guidebook to the Elvira Tarot card set that we currently have on Kickstarter. And she is taking readings, although we are coming close to the end of the show. Actually, I believe we have 3 minutes left. No, it's got something to do with the team too. But that's a discussion we'll have another day. All right. So, once again, the link is pinned in the top of the chat. So should we do the drawing? Because we have about 3 minutes, give or take. I don't even know what that means, Corey. They put up TJ's question again. Let's do TJ at the end. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Sorry, TJ, I missed that one. So in 40 years, have you ever had a seriously scary incident? Either doing readings or coven gatherings, things where the positive energy completely changed.
Yeah, I've had hauntings. I have had sleep paralysis demons come after me.
Wow.
There was one instance where I was working on astral projection, which is basically like an advanced form of meditation where you like visualize other worlds and you sort of traverse just sort of like the astral realms. It's astral projecting. So you're projecting your spirit and your consciousness into sort of like the unknown where all of this sort of like magical, whimsical energy lives. And I was often how I start the meditation is I will visualize where I am and sort of like my soul leaving my body. And so I was early in the meditation and I was just sort of like visualizing the room I was in. And in the doorway, there appeared this like silhouette of a man, and it was like his body was like different galaxies and stars, and he was so just like beautiful to look at. And he asked, like, can I come in? Like, can I come into your home? Can I come into your realm? And I just was like, yeah, okay, because I always want to see what's gonna happen. I'm never actually scared. Even when scary things happen, like I know that like I have control over this realm to an extent more so than like anything that comes in. And if I decide that I'm protected, I am protected. So anyway, I invited this being into my realm, and nothing happened. And then later that night, I was sleeping and I woke up and I saw just sort of like this shadow figure. I keep crystals by my bed to sort of promote nice dreams. And he was like sort of looking at the crystals and then teleported into my closet and then sort of like peeked out and like cheetah grinned at me. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then I went back to
Wow,
bed and I woke up full on sleep paralysis. Like I don't know if you've ever had sleep paralysis, but you wake up and you cannot breathe, you cannot move, you just feel like you're paralyzed, you are paralyzed, and you just feel like you're in a panic. And it lasted for so long that I like started like praying like to Jesus, which like I don't do, like I'm a witch, you know what I mean? But I was just like, just pray to Jesus, to God, to like whoever, like I was just like naming deities, like whoever, like help me, like call in my protection. And I, was released. But it was one of the most intense sleep paralysis I've ever had. It went from like a nice astral projection meditation to like later that night, this thing that I gave permission to come into my home came in. And so then I had to like cleanse the whole house. But I will say, if you do get sleep paralysis, one thing that can usually help is if you try to wiggle your toes, or if you try to push your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Those are usually like the two techniques that can help you kind of get out of it, break out of it sooner. But
all right,
there's been a few. I won't go on, but there's been a few.
that is probably the shortest hour I've ever done the show on. That went fast. Renee, I want to thank you. Right now we're going to do the drawing for the giveaway. The hashtag, if you haven't entered it in the chat, is hashtag EXP Elvira. Last chance. All right, Jay, let's go ahead and spin that wheel. All right, and the winner is Stevie B. Congrats. All right. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. The link is at the top of the chat. It is the Elvira Tarot card set. It is currently on Kickstarter. It has 12 days to go, 11 almost at this point. Jump in on it. And thank you, Renee, for spending the hour with us doing the readings. Was really fun. That was so cool. I can see you're an animal lover.
Yes, this is Voodoo. She's in her robe because she had a bath right before this, but she's just been sleeping on my lap this whole time.
Well, I hope that Renee, that sometime you'll join us again. My daughter was right. This is a lot of fun. She told me I enjoy it. I was skeptical, but I got to tell you, I had a blast.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I did too.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. On the way home, I'm gonna have to call my daughter and tell her she was right, because we had that agreement. Whenever we're right about something, the other person has to admit, you were right, I was wrong.
That's nice.
So thank you, Renee.
What's that like? A parent who admits when they're wrong.
Well, I raised her. I was a single dad, and it was just me and her. So we're sometimes more like friends than we are parent and child. But it's worked out now that she's an adult. So again, check out Elvira Tarot card set on Kickstarter. The link is pinned in chat. Don't forget, Nick will be here on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the original art show. Other than that, I appreciate the regulars, and I appreciate everyone coming to visit who wants to see Renee and the tarot card set. Renee, once again, thank you so much for being here. Jay, thank you for what you do. And everyone that's out there, I appreciate you. Peace.